I started in the trade as an apprentice when I was 16 years old, and I've made a lot of ranch saddles, cowboy saddles, some collector saddles. A client suggested that it might be fun for me to do a sort of a swan song saddle at the end of my career, fitting into such a long career. So I kind of agreed. And so I thought about reviving that old project with exposed wood with silver bindings. It was nice to have the opportunity to make this challenging a saddle with some original elements to it at 80 years old. So the idea for this saddle comes from like 30 years ago, thereabouts. It's a style of saddle from mid-19th century California. So 1850s. This is the style, general look of saddle that they were making at the time. I was too busy to make a spec saddle or a saddle just for fun, just to do it. I had lots of customers waiting for their orders, so I shelved that whole project because I was really busy. And it stayed that way until maybe a year ago. The other enjoyable part of this saddle project, kind of final project, if you like, is that the same client also gave my apprentice, if you'd like to call him that, Dallas Prince, it gave him the opportunity to also make a saddle that would challenge him a bit. It's a full-flowered California style ranch saddle, we'd call it, a cowboy saddle. I've been working with Dallas off and on as kind of an apprentice, trying to teach him the trade for, I think it's 5 years. The shape of this leaf is off. A week at a, 3 days to a week or so at a time. So it's been challenging for both of us. I think the only reason that it works at all is that Dallas is very dedicated to trying to master this trade and get as good as he can be at it. He had a military career before he decided to become a saddle maker. I think the inherent discipline, that's just part of him. That sort of discipline and dedication is what you need to become good as any kind of a craftsman, really. There's a lot of different skills involved, and it takes time to develop those skills, and he's in it for the long haul. So the payoff for me would be if I'm able to teach him enough skills to be able to make a good living, then that gives me a lot of satisfaction. That's a very good feeling.
I retired in 2019 with 18 years of service, and I decided I wanted to become a saddle maker. I worked with leather when I was 16 years old because I worked on a ranch, and I built my first pair of chinks when I was there. And I kind of liked working with leather at that point. And then I made my first saddle under my own kind of gas in 2015. It was an abomination, of course, but it was a saddle and I was pretty happy with it at the time. And once I retired from the military and started working with Chuck, then I kind of got to know what a real saddle is supposed to look like, and all the tips and tricks and all the small techniques that come with it. Yeah, it's been good, and I love it. Chuck is an excellent teacher. He's hyper patient with me because I screw up a lot of stuff, but I have a lot of fun doing it. This is kind of my therapy. I like the challenge of seeing how nice I can make something, and I learn things that I didn't even think about making this saddle with Chuck. There's little details that nobody sees, but I see it, Chuck sees it, and all those little details kind of add up to make a nice saddle. And I hope to have a relationship with Chuck for many more years to come. Saddle making is an old trade, and I think that it's a trade worth doing, and I think it's a trade that needs to be held on to. I had a lot of fun making this, and I learned a lot, but I am happy also that it's finished.
I had a file in sketches I had done at the time. I went back and looked at that, refined it a little bit. Then I had to decide for the floral carved part of it what flower to use. And probably again 30 years ago, or maybe even more, I used Tibetan lily that I saw a botanical drawing of. But I always liked the idea of that flower, and I liked the idea that it was original. No one else had carved it. So I started drawing it, and then I had the elements for a nice new design, a fresh sort of flower design to use. I decided it'd be fun to do a bare wood horn and a bare wood cantle exposed. You could make a regular cowboy saddle, that style, a regular Western saddle with all the parts, with the horn and cantle exposed. But then I thought a little further, it might be interesting to do it more like a Mother Hubbard or a Mission style or Mochia saddle, where there's just a big one-piece covering that fits over, has a hole for the horn in it, has a slot for the cantle, and it just fits over in one piece. So it would be great to carve everything except where the rider sits, leave that plain. And might be nice to have some tasteful silver on it. Nice little silver corners that wrap all the way around the edge and encase the corner. It also draws your eye to the corners and the rectangular look of the saddle. And I'd already done a collaboration some time ago with Ernie Marsh, and I quite like his engraving style, which is more like gun engraving. So I thought maybe that gun engraving look would be more suitable. So we went on with it from there. And we used a border very much like the border I intended to use on the saddle and the leatherwork, which is a tool that I designed some years ago. And a saddle usually has strings that hold the skirts on. This one doesn't need that. The silver conches that go in those places can be used to just hold that whole big piece of leather in place quite nicely. It turned out well. It was a crazy thing to put together. It's kind of intended to be enjoyed more as a sculpture than as a saddle to use. Throughout my career, I've always tried for refinement without sacrificing any durability. That was always kind of my goal. Make a saddle that'll stand up to good, long, hard work, but with a bit of refinement to it. Doesn't have to be crude to be strong and useful. There's acres of room for someone to try new ideas, stick to old tried and true ideas, put their own twist on it. I mean, a saddle is such a complicated construction with so many parts and so many design or aesthetic considerations that it's remained a challenge throughout 60 years. I'm still looking for better ways to do it, novel ways to approach it. It's a never-ending opportunity, I guess, to be able to express yourself and express your design ideas. So this saddle in particular has allowed me to do just that. So ideas from 170 years ago up to ideas that I felt would challenge me that are quite recent.